Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the 16th episode of the Triboro Podcast. I'm your host, Justin Alonso. I'm joined by Nicholas O'Brien, as always. And if you're watching on YouTube, you'll notice, for once, we have friends and we're not alone. We are joined by Will, Talon, and Andrew. I'm sorry, I forget your last name because I just met you, of the FreeBaseball Podcast. And give it up to you guys.
What's going on, Triboro Podcast? The Free Baseball Pod, we're collabing. This has been in the works for a little bit. Talk ball with you guys. I've seen a little bit of your stuff. You guys have some great takes. I can't wait to unpack all Yankees, Mets, whatever we're gonna do. It's exciting. It's baseball.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, I'm excited. You know, me and Will, usually we're on this type of platform talking about all types of baseball, but we talk a lot of Yankees on our own. And also, we follow the Mets a lot, obviously, because they're one of the top teams in baseball. So I'm very high on them.
They're still relevant.
But they look good this week, so I'm excited.
They did.
And this podcast was only possible by the networking opportunity by the St. Joseph Regional High School. Shout out to the best high school on the planet. And yeah, we'll just get into it. See you guys in, where are we going, Nick?
We are going to the Bronx.
The Bronx? Okay, see you guys there.
Now entering the Bronx.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Bronx. If you skipped the intro because you're a little baby back bitch, we have friends. Just started off, as always, the injury update brought to you by the Triboro MD, and I unplugged my headphones.
Good job.
Sorry about that. So starting it off, Luis Severino had a rehab start. I think it was yesterday. He'll be activated on Sunday and will start against Cincinnati Reds. Absolutely huge. I'll get into it later. I have a lot of points on how him coming back affects like a lot of different things with the pitching staff. Carlos Rodon has been throwing the last couple of days. He does not need a second cortisone shot, which is pretty big news because he got one. They said you don't know for sure with the cortisone shot if you get the area until you just pitch. So they had like a second schedule, just like rather have it scheduled than not need it. They didn't need it, so they canceled it. Stanton will begin a rehab assignment shortly. And Josh Donaldson decided to cut his thumb open, and now he's pushed back. So he's now on the same timeline as Stanton. Do you guys know the story? It was like he's playing with his daughter, and he was like lifting something. That's like all I
didn't hear about this.
It's an
the first time I'm hearing about this.
Yeah, no, it was something like he was playing with his daughter, and like he was like building a dollhouse or something, and he like sliced his thumb open, so it pushed him back a couple of days.
Oh my god.
It sounds like a Jabba incident.
Yeah, oh my god.
Years ago.
Yeah, no, Donaldson might just become the new Ellsbury.
I'm not complaining. I am not nothing against the guy. Not complaining. Jose Trevino was put on the 10-day IL with a hamstring strain. That was kind of like random. I did not expect that. Ian Hamilton is expected to miss 4 weeks because Domingo Germán is a horrible person. Tommy Kahnle has started a rehab assignment today. He pitched, I think, an inning and a third. He's going to then pitch again on Sunday, and then he will be on AAA on Thursday. You would think maybe one more rehab start, if that, coming back. You guys may know more about that, because I know, like, Willie, you played baseball. I don't know about you, Andrew, but...
Depends, Justin, honestly. He had, bicep tendonitis?
Not fun.
Definitely not fun. I think they have to be very cautious with him. You don't want to rush him back because his bullpen is already so depleted as it is, with Hamilton going down with a groin strain for it's gonna be over a month. So there's no need to rush Kahnle back. But yeah, I would say maybe one or two at the most. And then we could see Kahnle back in the Bronx.
Yeah, no, I had bicep tendonitis. It's not fun, guys. Like, if you've never had tendonitis, it's one of those things like, almost like oblique level, where if you don't get rid of it 100%, it's just gonna keep nagging you. So hopefully he's fine, or like he won't get hurt, and we'll have him in the bullpen. That's all I got for the injury update. Then for the game recap. for one of the wildest 4-game series, especially just like the first 2 games could have been a movie themselves. So game 1 was Joni Brito versus Alek Manoah. Joni Brito was the Jimmy Cordero was the starter, but he was just the opener. Brito was the bulk guy. Top of the first, Judge hits a solo home run. That time he was looking at Manoah. Willie Calhoun ends up hitting a 2-run home run to make it 3-0. Then top of the fourth, Higgy single knocks in Volpe. Judge walks with the base loaded to make it 5-0. Top of the sixth, Rizzo double knocks in Bowers, makes it 6-0. Top of the eighth is where it starts to get interesting. Aaron Boone gets ejected for arguing a low strike call on Judge, which was just in the dirt. That was a horrible call. And then Aaron Judge just closes his eyes, hits a home run. There was nothing wrong with his eyes in that at-bat. Then in the bottom of the eighth, Whit Merrifield RBI single to make it 7-1. Springer fielder's choice 7-2. Bichette RBI single 7-3. Vladdy double 7-4. King comes in, ends up getting the last out, and then closes the game out. Brito went 5 1/3 innings, 6 hits, 4 runs. Only one of them was earned. 0 walks, 2 strikeouts. Manoah went 4 innings pitched, 6 hits, 5 earned runs, 7 walks, and 3 strikeouts. I think Brito pitched a lot better than his run showed. I didn't even know only one of them was earned. I thought all 4 of them were earned, but he looked significantly better with an opener.
Definitely. I mean, I feel like the Rays, who we'll talk about in a few, kind of opened up baseball to this whole idea of openers and bulk guys. And honestly, being the bulk guy might just be Brito's calling.
We talked about it last week about how he was absolutely horrible in the first inning, but then once he got settled in, he was good, and we didn't know if it was a thing of does he need to settle in? Is it the first inning out of 9, or is it the first inning he comes in? So maybe it's the first inning he comes in. I mean, hopefully.
It worked.
Duh.
I think he definitely looks very much more comfortable in that position. I definitely would expect Aaron Boone to go down that route the next time that Brito's due to throw because of how effective it was. I definitely really enjoyed watching him in that role. I enjoyed watching him as a starter, but once he started to really have trouble in the first inning, kind of like James Paxton did a few years ago, it's never a recipe for success. If you can't get out of the first inning, you are already starting off on the wrong foot. So maybe that bulk role, kind of like what Michael King had too a couple years ago. He kind of had a bulk role, and look at what he turned into. Yeah. So I credit Boone and their staff for being very creative in this certain situation, especially with how handcuffed not only starters are, but the whole bullpen and the whole pitching staff in general is just tied down with just a bunch of injuries and missing pieces for whatever reason. So I definitely would expect Boone to throw Brito in as a bulk guy for his next time around.
I agree. I think he could have gone longer. I was just going to say, I think he could have gone longer too. It kind of just shaky defense, some hits leak through. He may have even gone 6 innings, which would have got him to the Yankees to the 8th inning, 9th inning, which would, with 2 pitchers to bleed the bullpen. But sorry for cutting you off.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say it's not really a too much of a dent in Brito's career, as he was kind of rushed into this rotation for the injuries. So using him as a reliever for the rest of this year doesn't really give me too many concerns. I still think what we've seen from Brito, especially from his first 2-3 starts, that he definitely has potential to be a starter, possibly for the Yankees in the future. And like we said, Michael King, he dealt with those first inning issues when he first came up as a starter. So who knows? Maybe Brito's just meant to be a 2-3 inning
there's some guys
one concern with that though. I have one concern. He wasn't a top prospect, but he was up there. He was definitely up there. I don't want him to turn into this Clark Schmidt kind of role. Johnny Brito's already 25. Clark Schmidt is 27. Clark is a first-round pick. This guy should have been a starting pitcher. What he's have done to Clark Schmidt is just unacceptable for a first-round pick. For anybody that has had the kind of you can say, that Clark Schmidt had in the farm system. You need to pick a lane. You
Yeah.
need to pick a lane. And right now it's early for Brito, so it's okay. But this just has kind of a deja vu effect to me with these top arms. Are they going to be relievers or are they going to be starters?
I feel like the Yankees never know what to do with that. Like how like Sevy,
They're always mixing and
they
matching,
almost did
which
the
is
same thing with
fine,
Sevy
but-
too, where like he started as a reliever, then became a starter. So hopefully they just like decide. Like I didn't even think about that.
It's like
but-
it's been this 3-year thing. You know,
Yeah.
it's like he's either the 5th starter, the 4th starter, the 6th to 7th inning guy, the 8th inning. Like this guy has a whole bunch of roles on this team. We have never really seen what he can fully do. We've seen flashes, but give a specific role. And I think that Clark Schmidt could be really, really effective. And Johnny Brito, the same way. We've seen the stuff. We've all seen the stuff that he has. So give him a specific role. Try this out again. If this is the role, then stick with it.
I like Clark as like a 2-3 inning guy. I think his stuff is like perfect for that. But
In the rotation to make a spot start after, like, I don't know, a stretch of, let's just say, 5 to 7 games of doing that 2
doubleheader
to
or
3
something like
inning relief.
that.
It's just like, what are you doing to this guy's arm? Like, that's different. That's a different kind of preparation per game. If you're prepping for a start, it's different than being ready to be ready and you get the call in the bullpen. It's just different.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it just feels like the Yankees are always, like you said, Will, always putting Clark Schmidt in the worst possible situations. Like his development was going great. He was a top prospect, and then he kind of got called up when like the rotation was kind of full, so they had to throw him in the bullpen and not really give him like that full leash as a starter. And now it's like they're finally giving him a full leash as a starter, but they already kind of committed to giving him that bullpen role. So his confidence as a starter was already kind of hurt because he kind of like committed. Like they put him into the 9th inning of a playoff game against the Guardians with runners on. Not even getting a clean inning. Like they just, I agree. Like Clark definitely hasn't performed, but the Yankees.
How
really
much of that
haven't
is
had-
like like fault?
Definitely. It messes with development. I mean, especially if someone as young as Brito, that you I love what you said about they need to pick a lane, because that's honestly the perfect way to say it. Because with a guy so young, what, he's 23? Something like that?
25.
No, see, Brito's
25?
25.
He's
Clark
25?
Schmidt,
All right.
It was the same way. That's why.
All right.
That's why I'm raising this concern.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He has less time to like decide a lane, because he's even
Right.
older than what Clark was. So he has to
Right.
decide it
23
sooner
or 24.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So from a developmental standpoint, they really just need to like sit down and say like, hey, this is what you're gonna do. Because like you said, it's completely different preparations day in, day out.
Clark Schmidt was, let me get it, 24 years old when he made his debut. Okay, so yeah, it's
So it's just, I want that to be Brito's story, and unfortunately, it's been like that for Clark. And that 9th inning against the Guardians, game 3. Yeah, it was game 3, right? Of
yeah, because
the
they went down
division series,
1-2, and then Cole
Won
had
the
that
last
huge
2, yeah.
game, and then yeah.
and then they won game 5. Clark Schmidt really didn't look that bad in that game. That game, I'm not going to dwell on that game, but that game, reason they lost that game was the pitch calling. So that killed Clark Schmidt's confidence, because they threw Oscar Gonzalez the same pitch 3 times in a row, and then they give up a base hit to lose the game, and then almost put their season in jeopardy. They were almost eliminated from that. So the teetering with Clark Schmidt, you know, like you said, Drew, they didn't give him a clean inning, and he still threw effective pitches. But the same pitch to a major league hitter 3 times in a row, eventually, you know, they're gonna pick up on it.
You throw a
So
slider
catch on.
6 times in a row to Aaron Judge, he doesn't have to look over to the dugout to know it's going to be a slider.
especially when you throw it right over them.
Exactly.
There it is.
Yeah, you guys got anything more on that?
On the Judge stuff, or
Well, no, I was going to go into game 2. Like, more like the Clark stuff. And
oh, okay, all right, yeah.
all right. So, game 2 was Domingo Germán versus Kevin Gausman. Top of the 3rd, Glaber RBI single to make it 1-0, and then Bader had an RBI ground out. but it was only 2 outs. The runner ended up scoring, but then Glaber also got thrown out at third. You saw a lot of weird stuff from Glaber this series. A lot of weird defense, a lot of weird plays on the bases. Just got to clean that up. Then bottom of the fourth is when it started getting interesting. Well, let me preface. So the night before this game, the Blue Jays sent a message. They sent something into MLB saying how the Yankees base coaches were not in the designated boxes and were complaining. And then, what's his name? The Mets old manager, Luis Rojas.
Oh, Luis Rojas. Yeah.
And then Luis Rojas was like barely out of it, so the Blue Jays manager called him out, made a whole fuss of it, made the umpire stop the game just to make him get back in the box. And then half an inning later, the Blue Jays coaches are doing the same exact thing. So Boone starts doing it, telling them to get back in their boxes. And then you get to the bottom of the fourth, Domingo Germán does not start the inning because he gets ejected for having the stickiest hands the umpire's ever seen.
Heard this one before.
Pick your shit up. Like, I made the joke that if I'm Domingo Germán or Clark Schmidt, I am cheating my ass off until I get caught so that I could help this team because I know I can't other than that. But I was kidding. I wasn't being serious. Like, that
and it's his second time.
Dude,
Domingo too.
Yeah.
Like, how much slack he was pitching well, but it's also a thing of how much slack are you going to give a guy that has horrible off-the-field stuff, then on the field, he can't stop getting in trouble. Like,
Right.
There's one stat, if I could find it. I may have just forgot. Yeah, whatever.
Let me say something real quick though. Jose Trevino was on the Foul Territory podcast today with AJ Pierzynski and Scott Braun. I don't know if you guys saw this.
No.
And he said
That's Ken Rosenthal's, right?
No, it's Scott Braun's.
Oh, okay.
Scott Braun, AJ Pierzynski, Eric Kratz is on that too, I think.
Oh.
They said, or Trevino said that it was chewing tobacco and that baseball players would understand. So
I saw that too.
Interesting.
Where like
You
how people were saying the thing on his pants was like tar,
Right.
but like you literally see him take dip out of his mouth and then like wipe it off on his pants.
right, and the whole thing with rosin and sweat. Major League Baseball needs to do a better job of training their umpires in identifying what is actually a substance and not. Because Max Scherzer shouldn't have gotten suspended. If this was Domingo, Germán, and sweat and rosin, then Germán should not have gotten suspended. They need to do, if they're going to enforce the sticky substance ban like they've been doing, then they need to educate their umpires on what it is.
Exactly.
I'm not trying to defend the umpires. I'm just saying, if you're going to throw out suspensions to people and umpires are going to eject players, they need to know the difference. And that's on Major League Baseball to help these umpires understand that. Because if Major League Baseball is going to enforce these rules, then they need to know what is going on. And that's just not the case.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. It's the same umpire. It's Phil Cuzzy every time. Hector Santiago, Max Scherzer, Domingo. He's the one you need to train.
Just
Focus
the guy.
on him.
Yeah.
So
And
there you go. Someone needs to enlighten Phil Cuzzy. It's a very
Or fire him.
It's a common thing. There are multiple videos on it. How sweat and rosin can literally make a baseball stay in your hand if you held it like this.
How David
So-
Cohn was literally doing the science experiments on the ESPN broadcast.
Right.
Come on now.
And like
I
also
think it comes down to the policy in general. It's extremely vague and it leaves so much room for a subjective call. It's relying way too much on what the umpire thinks is too sticky. I
Right.
think that's where the issue starts.
no.
Exactly. I totally agree with that. Totally agree with that.
And also the fact how like for one guy, he may only need like a little bit and another guy may need to like douse both of his hands in it. But if you're going to let one guy use a certain amount because that makes it more effective for him, but you're not going to let it use the other guy, that's also another gray area. And also how with the summer coming up, doesn't rosin even get even stickier the hotter it is out?
Yeah,
So
because the
now
more
is it going to be
sweat
a
you
thing?
produce.
You're telling them that the entire year, okay, you could use this much, this much, this much. Yeah, you've been using the same exact amount. No, now you're going to get ejected. So it's like you can't quantify stickiness. Like, are you
Yeah.
going to get like a maple leaf or something, and like how do you quantify stickiness?
Exactly. That's the issue. You can't.
You
know,
can't,
it's
like-
all dependent on what the umpire thinks, which is
It's
totally not what it should be.
yeah.
I mean, while we're on the topic of LMB and how they manage their sticky tough umpires, I will give them a little bit of credit because I saw a tweet the other day that LMB has only let Angel Hernandez umpire one game this whole season.
True.
So credit to them.
Yeah.
Wow.
Good
I
job
didn't
there.
know that.
I did not hear
Mhm.
about that. Yeah.
That's
Just found out about that like 2 days ago.
Huge. Huge for baseball.
Damn. Rob
Wow.
Manfred finally did something. Jesus.
Mhm.
Well, back to the baseball game.
Yeah.
Top of the fifth, IKF hit a home run somehow. He has 5 home runs as a Yankee. 2 of them are off Kevin Gosman.
what a beast.
Dude, it's
What
just
is
a
that?
beast.
bottom
Did
of
not
the
know that.
yeah. I think it's like 3 are against the AL East too. I know one was wait. It was either. It was
He had a
either.
grand slam last year, I remember.
Yeah, who was that against? Was that the Boston one?
The Boston one, I don't think was a grand slam, but I think he had a grand slam against like the Twins or something.
Okay. Oh yes, it was 2 were against the Twins, and then the other 3 were against the AL East. That's what it was.
Yeah.
So then bottom of the fifth, Kevin Kiermaier home run. I hate Kevin Kiermaier. Bo Bichette double to make it 3-2. Then Vladdy ties it up with an RBI single. Then the top of the eighth, Glaber bunted, which was like, I like that, but I just did not expect that. Then Aaron Judge hit a moonshot that broke a maple leaf to give the Yankees a 5-3 lead. I thought that was just the most symbolic home run of all time. I thought that was
was great.
hilarious.
Pretty funny.
And then having to see like the guy on the broadcast like trying to fix it with like a screwdriver was just so funny.
And
Then
then the clone die, Selly.
yeah,
I loved that, by
that
the way.
was
I'm all for like the petty shit. I
especially
love
with
that.
Judge, where like you never see it. Yeah, I got a point on that. Top of the ninth, IKF double, Glaber sac fly. That's about it. 6-3. Wandy ends up closing it out. Herman went 3 perfect innings with 2 strikeouts. Gosman went 7 innings pitched, 5 hits, 3 runs. Only 2 of them were earned. 2 walks, 10 strikeouts. That's like the most Kevin Gosman line against the Yankees I've seen. Like, it's always 10 plus strikeouts. You may get a home run or 2 in there, but you're not lighting him up as the Yankees. So
It can't hit his splitter.
his splitters
Cannot do it.
disgusting. I don't know why
They
more
can't
guys
do
don't
it.
throw split. More guys don't throw splitters.
Because it has extreme stress on your elbow.
Okay.
It terrorized. That's what happened to Tanaka.
Okay.
Through that splitter. Is what happens is like you split these 2 fingers and your ulna collateral ligament.
UCL.
Yeah, exactly. Is just the stress on that ligament is emphasized the more you spread your fingers out on the ball. So Gosman grips it more like a changeup, but it has that split finger action to it.
Okay.
Tanaka and Kodai Senga, they go like as far as they can go.
Yeah.
My high school baseball coach used to tell us that was his pitch, and what he would do is that he would put a softball in between his 2 fingers and make it like as wide as possible so you can get as much split as possible. It's just so if you don't train to throw that pitch correctly, it's not good. But it's become such a prominent pitch that baseball has just adopted it, and it's lethal as long as
Yeah.
you can stay healthy while throwing it.
Yeah, I mean, especially in Japan, like you mentioned.
Yeah.
Like,
That's like
you
their
know,
bread and butter.
yeah, Yu Darvish throws it. Tanaka threw
That's
it.
essentially
Kodai
their
Senga's
changeup,
throwing
right?
it.
Like,
Yeah. I just feel like over in Japan, all of the pitchers over there and just the athletes in general, I think their bodies are just more in tune for that kind of stress.
Well, it's
I just
also a
feel like they
smaller
have more
ball, right?
I think it's a
Slightly.
slightly smaller
Yeah.
ball.
okay.
Slightly,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, I mean, you look at it, like, I have a ball right here. Like, this hurts.
Oh.
Like,
Yeah.
like putting it in between like
Oh.
that, like, and to have the amount of stress, like, between the ball to actually be able to throw it and put spin on it. Like, just holding like this is killing me.
And you
And it's
guys
what,
don't know Nick. He has fucking massive hands. He has like these just ginormous
claws.
glove
Meaty
hands.
claws.
Yeah, no, and for it to be like that with him, that's saying something.
Right. But
Yeah, it's a dangerous pitch, but Gosman, I saw something on it when he was with the Giants, because that's when he really started like incorporating that pitch more. He grips it more like a changeup, definitely more like a changeup. And that's why he hasn't had like as many problems as many pitchers do have. He uses more fingers. The more fingers you use, the less likely you're susceptible to injury.
Yeah, no, the Yankees also, like, prior to the series, they struggled a lot with Manoah's changeup. He dominated them every single time.
Yeah, I'm surprised. Like, I know Manoah's, like, struggled, but I'm still surprised that they hit him just because, like, historically he just owns us. And I know he had the 7 scoreless in the Bronx earlier.
I was at that game.
You were?
Dealt.
Yeah.
Did they win
He
that
dealt.
game?
They won. That was the DJ walk-off.
DJ walk-off, yes.
Don't play homer.
Gotcha, yes. Oh, that was the Danny Jansen?
Yep.
Yeah.
Speaking
He
of
just always hits homers against the Yankees.
Speaking of Danny Jansen, Game 3, Garrett Cole versus Chris Bassett. Bottom of the 10th inning. Danny Jansen, 3-run home run off Wandy. I will give Wandy a little bit of the benefit of the doubt. Danny Jansen kills the Yankees, and Wandy has given up 2 home runs this year. Both of them were to Danny Jansen. So it could just be one of those things that, like, for whatever reason, this bum backup catcher just owns Wandy.
It's his number.
I feel like that's on.
That's where he always hits homers against the Yankees.
They were showing a thing of, like, on the Yes booth that he was hitting like 300 with like a 990 OPS against the Yankees. Then versus like the rest of the league, he was hitting like 210 with like a 550 OPS. So it's like, come on, man. Just one of those.
There's always some Yankee killer on every
Kevin. Now they got Kevin Kiermaier too. Like that's just not,
I was gonna say that when you mentioned him. They went out and they got specifically Yankee killers in the offseason. They went out and got them.
Was Jackie Bradley?
Blue Jays
Yankee
have
killer?
a vendetta against the Yankees. It's hysterical.
Was Jackie Bradley a Yankee killer? I feel like he came up in big spots.
No.
Okay, yeah.
He was
Probably.
J.D. Martinez was a huge Jakey killer, but I feel like the biggest one was Randall Grichuk. Every single time.
Grichuk was a stud.
Bro,
yeah.
Randall Grichuk. I went to a game in the bleachers and there was one guy, like just one guy that was plastered. He kept on like, what's it called? What's the word? Well, I can't think of it. Heckling, yes. He kept heckling Grichuk, and he kept saying, like, the dumbest shit. He was like, Randall Grichuk's the type of guy to brush his teeth and drink orange juice. And just, like, really dumb shit like that. Like, Randall Grichuk's mom says she's a Yankees fan. And just, like, the dumbest stuff like that. But
the best kind of heckling.
yeah, it was, like, not, like, rude, but it was, like, stupid funny. So then Cole ended up going 6 innings, 7 hits, no earned runs, 2 walks, 6 strikeouts. Bassett, 7 innings, 3 hits, 0 earned runs, 1 walk, 7 strikeouts. Cole looked decent. It was one of those things where, like, it was kind of a unwinnable situation with leaving him out for the 7th. Because, like, he looked like he was starting to, like, get a little gassed. But also the bullpen's done. He's your ace in a big divisional game. So I don't hate the call to leave him in. Just because of, like, all the context going on. So, yeah, but... And then Bassett, I did not know he has 8 pitches.
Bassett threw everything.
That's just... That's crazy.
That's why I thought he was, like... After he left the Mets, I thought he was going to struggle with the pitch... not only the pitch clock, but, like... the pitch calm, because like you said, he throws so many pitches that I remember just a couple Mets games.
I think he calls his own games.
I wouldn't be surprised.
I think he has it on his belt and he calls them.
Because there were games where he just shook off like 5 pitches in a row. And then, Tomas Nido, whoever the hell had to call time, you had to go to the mound and be like, all right, what the hell you want to throw? And then I just thought he was going to struggle with all these new rules. But, I mean, he has a long scoreless streak going on, so good for him.
I think David Goen was talking about that, how, like, that used to happen with the Mets, and, like, yeah, because then they were showing and they were saying, like, yeah, he calls his own games because if he didn't, it would just be, like, so many issues, pitch clock, all that.
It would take way too long.
Yeah.
Way too long.
Yeah, no, he struggled a little bit beginning of the year. I remember his first start, he gave up like 8 runs, but
Yeah.
he had a complete game
Yeah.
shutout, and then he obviously dealt against the Yankees, so he's been pretty good lately.
All right. And then for the last game, it was Nestor Cortez versus Jose Barrios. I don't know about you guys, but I was really like, maybe not make or break, but this was a big game for Nestor's confidence for me. Like,
Absolutely. He has not looked good
Yeah.
in his last few starts, and today he looked
Yeah.
pretty sharp.
because there was a thing of like you could knock, okay, like he had the strep throat, maybe like a little, so like that, but like this was definitely like huge for me. To get into the recap, top of the first, Glaber single. Aaron Judge did that thing where he hits another home run to make it 2-0 Yankees. Bichette immediately answers back in the bottom of the first to make it 2-1. Top of the seventh, Oswaldo has a leadoff double. Aaron Hicks drives him in with a single to make it 3-1. Bottom of the seventh, Vladdy pinch hit sac fly to make it 3-2. It was bases loaded, nobody out. Ryan Weber comes in, the hero we all needed to get the 3 outs. Then, 8th inning, Albert Abreu somehow gets 3 high leverage outs. Then, top of the 9th, Anthony Volpe gets a huge insurance run, turning on a 99-mile-an-hour fastball and hit a ball 108.7 miles an hour. That was his fastest exit velo of the season and the fastest pitch hit out by a Yankee this season.
He looks great.
Yeah.
Honestly, he really does. I've been very impressed. I know he's been one of the top names to look out for all year as a prospect, and some may say, you know, he hasn't been living up to that level that he was put at
Unfairly put out.
from last year. But you know, watching him every single day, there's a lot of love about him. There really is. There really is. Call me biased. I really don't think I am. I'm just seeing how it is. I know his defense is a little shaky, but he's 21. He is 21 years old. He has
Didn't play in AAA. Or he played 5 games, but that's pretty much
5
nothing.
games. He, Double A is the hardest level. That's what it's known as, and he went straight from the hardest level to Major League Baseball. Usually, you get a little brush up, more than 5 games in AAA, and then you're up. But and maybe even longer than that. But I've been very impressed with Volpe. I really have. He's looked the part to me. He really has.
Yeah. And that's not even talking the stolen bases, obviously. 13 for 13, just really getting in pitchers' heads. He should have like 3 or 4 more, but he just gets like so much in the pitcher's head. That'll be like a wild pitch, or the pitcher will hang a ball down the middle. I know there's one specifically I'm thinking of that Judge early in the year hit a monster home run because the pitch was hung because Volpe just kept getting in the pitcher's head. And you can't really box scout with him because me and Nick were talking about it, and I like ranted off like a couple numbers of like just how unlucky he's been getting the last 2 weeks. Where like he has these like elite hard hit rates, barrel rates, exit velocities, all that, but then you'd have like a batting average of balls put in play of like 100. So it's just he's starting to finally get lucky. There's gonna be growing pains. He's a 21-year-old rookie, didn't play in AAA. Shortstop is one of the hardest positions to play. All the pressure being the Yankees shortstop. Just give him time. Just give him time. It's that simple.
Yeah, no, I would say like at first I was definitely a little disappointed by Volpe. I think a couple weeks ago he had an OPS in like the 600s, and I was like, I wouldn't say he's a disappointment because stealing bases, decent defense, but ever since then he's just been on a power surge, and his overall stats are looking pretty good now.
Yeah, they're looking pretty solid.
This year so far.
Especially when you
Alonzo,
consider. Oh, sorry, you go.
You said it the best, man. You cannot look at the box score and scout this kid right now. That if you want positives out of Anthony Volpe, you have to look beyond the stat sheet. You really do. One adjustment I think that he can make, it's not going to be immediate, but I think it will have a huge impact on his game. And a lot of these tweaks, they come with age. He swings out of his shoes. That's great. That's awesome. But there's some times where he strikes out, and it's like, whoa.
Yeah.
You fanned. You whiffed big time.
Not
But
like
that's okay.
Boba level, but like close to that.
That was actually my player comp coming into the year. I compared him and Boba. That was my comp. They both have very similar styles in game. Bichette, when you need, his defense is pretty solid. It's pretty solid. He can get flashy when he needs to. He has a solid arm, and his swing is very, very aggressive. Volpe's the same way. I think if Volpe can just calm down, stay within his shoes, these strikeouts are going to turn the balls in play, and he already puts the ball in play enough. You need to just be on the up with Volpe. I'm sorry, I really am. If you think it's biased, but he's been good. He really has.
And also the Dariv.art bias too. Just knowing people that played against him.
The green wave. Green wave. Hey, it's even more notes to look at. I've watched him in person.
Yeah.
Saw him in person.
You know,
in high
I always
school.
make sure to say, "Oh, I knew guys that played against him. He was so good in high school." Even though I had no connection to him at all. I always say that like someone that like I have on Snap like from Joe's like added him when he got like drafted by the Yankees, and like I added him just like, "Oh, he got drafted by the Yankees." Didn't add back, but I could say I have Anthony Volpe Snap. No one can take that away from me.
Good for you.
He's pretty much my best friend. He's actually coming over tomorrow.
Essentially. Yeah.
Can you
You're
call
having
my
a play
number
date.
and call me to the show?
Facts.
Yeah, you have a hotline.
Yeah,
Put him on
seriously.
here.
Anthony Volpe is coming in.
I actually have a burner phone just for Anthony Volpe.
You
Of
have two
course.
phones.
Mhm.
Alonzo is big like that.
Yeah,
He
big
is.
man.
He has two phones.
Well, when you got friends like Anthony Volpe, you gotta be. You
I
gotta be
mean,
in the
yeah, you're pretty much big league at that point, literally.
Yeah, that's pretty much it for the game recaps. Some of my like overall thoughts is I'm shocked there was not a brawl this series. It just felt so inevitable every single pitch that someone was gonna get called fat boy one too many times, and there was just gonna be a punch thrown, and just I don't know how that didn't happen.
Yeah, especially with their history, last
Oh, yeah.
series with Vlad and Rizzo going at it. I agree.
All the shit that
It's a
Manoa
bubble,
and
it's a bubble.
Vlad have been saying in the off season, all that.
I'm glad
Yeah,
it didn't get to that point though. The Blue Jays are a very young and feisty team. The Yankees are a little more mature than that. The Blue Jays, I don't even know how many guys they have over the age of 30 on that team. Honestly,
That's true.
They are a young team. They make a lot of noise. They definitely make a lot of noise. One thing that they need to remember is that they have not won anything.
No.
They really have not won anything. I think, being gritty is great, but the Blue Jays are very they love pushing the buttons of the Yankees. They love trying to do that. And I'm happy the Yankees didn't stoop to that level. The whole glaring with Judge, the comments that Vladdy continuously makes, the comments that Manoa continuously makes. The Yankees cannot afford to stoop to that level. They just can't.
Yeah, I agree on that.
No, I mean,
Yeah.
I'd say one of the big reasons that why Brawl didn't start Judge. Judge was the big storyline of the series, and he's not a guy who's going to try to start a brawl. He's not Bryce Harper. He's not running after a random relief pitcher trying to start a fight.
I remember in the Tyler Austin one, he was like pulling guys away. And that was what, 2018? When he was still like 26 years old?
2017.
Really? I
Which
thought it
one?
was.
There was one against Boston and there was one against Detroit.
I'm thinking the Tyler Austin, Joe Kelly.
That was Boston.
Yeah, that was 2018.
Well, in 2017, they had that 3-brawl game against Detroit.
Yeah.
That was
Gary
Romine.
Sanchez was
Romine,
in there.
Cabrera.
Yeah,
Miguel
Miguel. It was
Cabrera.
Romine and Cabrera.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cabrera
that-
shoved Romine, and then
That just brought
all
back
hell
so
broke
much.
loose.
Jesus. Just like another note, and this is kind of like a quick one-off. The Blue Jays were 12-3 at home before this series. I feel like that's not talked about enough. Just how elite of a home team the Blue Jays were. They had the second best record, like winning percentage-wise, at home, with first being the Rays. I think that's and they even almost won a series in Tampa. I think that's not being talked about enough.
I didn't even know about that. So
Yeah.
there you go. Definitely hasn't been talked about
Yeah.
enough.
I mean, I think it's always huge to go into quote unquote enemy territory and take out three or four, especially against a big divisional rival who you'll be fighting tooth and nail throughout the entire season with.
And kind of like piggybacking on that divisional rival, has it gotten to the point where the Red Sox are almost the Yankees' fourth biggest rivalry?
Definitely not fourth. I would definitely see the Red Sox are a bigger rival than the Orioles.
Well, I'm not talking only in division. I was saying Houston, Toronto, and Tampa.
Okay.
That's like I'm talking
don't
only
know.
recently. Only recently.
I'm just gonna say
I don't
right now,
know.
no team in Major League Baseball will ever trump. I don't care about the Astros. Don't care about the Rays. Don't care about the Blue Jays. There will never be a team in Major League Baseball that will combat the Red Sox-Yankees rivalry.
Okay.
It's never gonna happen.
Fair.
Never gonna happen. These new rivalries are great because the Blue Jays and the Rays and the Astros are just as competitive as the Yankees. The Red Sox having a little bit of a they're in a retooling. I don't really know what they're doing over there, honestly. But their rivalry will never be diminished by another team. It's never going to happen.
That's fair.
Okay.
And I think especially when you look at it from a fan's perspective, not only from the team on the field, that rivalry is never going to die.
Yeah.
It's never going to die, ever.
Okay. I don't know. That was just something I was thinking about because like recency bias.
It's valid. That's a valid thing to think about, though. Because with the Red Sox not competing like they had been, the Yankees and Red Sox had been known to do, it poses that question. But at the end of the day, those two franchises have been going at it a lot longer than the Rays, Astros, and Blue Jays.
They've been going at it longer than
in existence.
I was about to say that, yeah.
So.
Yeah, fair.
I mean, you'll see it. Just look at the ticket prices. Yankees, Red Sox is always going to be higher priced than Yankees, Rays.
Yeah,
No
even if both the Yankees and Red Sox are bad.
Yeah.
Something else I was looking at just about how unimaginably screwed this Yankee team would be if Judge and Rizzo were just not on this team. As a team, they would have a 222 batting average, 292 on base, 380 slugging for a 672 OPS. That is just thank
They need
God.
Giancarlo back.
Yeah.
They need Giancarlo back.
They don't have a 4-hole hitter.
They need him back.
Sounds pretty similar to last year with I think if you took away Judge's stats from the Yankees offense, they were like the second worst offense in baseball.
It was like if you
They
took
probably
it
would have won 88 games.
For like a pretty good stretch from like August.
It was like after the
like
All-Star
mid-
break, their numbers were worse than the Pirates if you took Judge out.
Yeah.
If you base it on
that's-
WAR, they would have won 88 games without Aaron Judge.
No.
That's insane.
Yeah.
They won 99 games. By the
No.
way. That's nuts.
That is just people don't realize that like he legitimately over the last 2 years is the best player in baseball, and like there really isn't too.
I don't know. I think Shohei edges him.
I mean, he's
even
been
though Judge won MVP.
I'm saying the last 2 years, Judge has been better than Ohtani.
I don't think so.
Oh, I don't know about
See, and like, in what way are you talking about though?
How valuable they
I
are
think-
to the team.
that. Ohtani does both sides of the ball.
I was gonna say,
But look
yeah.
what happens to the Yankees
Top
when you
5 in
take
the league.
you take
on both
Judge
sides of the ball.
out. It's so hard because I think it's more of a credit to Judge.
difficult. It's extremely difficult at first to just quantify what Shohei Ohtani does. I think that's where the issue starts. 'Cause I feel like you can't even compare. If you take him, part by part, pitcher to pitcher, hitter to hitter, sure. But Ohtani does both, and it's really hard to make a comparison when he does that.
Fair.
Yeah,
Because you take Ohtani out of the Angels, you're losing a starter, and you're losing arguably best
You're not just
hitter,
losing
maybe?
a starter. You're losing your ace. You're
True.
losing your ace, and you're losing your best hitter. I mean, all right. We want to say Mike Trout and Ohtani. Okay.
1A, 1B.
You're definitely losing your ace.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. I don't
And
know.
not just an ace. He is a top 5, top 10 pitcher in baseball.
Okay.
In baseball, top 10 in the American League, top 5, top 3 for sure.
Definitely.
Okay.
Yeah. I just think as big of a Judge fan, as big of a Otani fan, like all bias aside, like when you're a top 10 hitter and a top 10 pitcher in baseball, it's gonna take more than 62 home runs to top that in terms of
Okay.
value, in my opinion.
So do you think that Judge should have won MVP last year or Otani?
No, I think Otani deserved MVP.
Okay.
Really?
Interesting.
I feel like
See, I disagree with that just because Judge broke one of the most infamous records in Major League
he had the
Baseball.
But that's
best.
more about the storyline.
He had the best
like
offensive
matches, yeah.
season without steroids in baseball history.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that's
So it's like,
dude.
while still playing
That's-
elite
wow.
defense or pretty good defense in center field. So it's like,
It is tough. Like me and Will had the same debate last year on the podcast, and it's like, yes, any other year Judge wins MVP, but in my opinion, I think Otani had a better season.
because my only issue with that is that if Otani won it, then it should be Otani every single year. You know what I
And
mean?
why
Because
not?
if it's like, but if it's at the point where like, even if someone has the greatest offensive season of all time in the American League and they can't win it, and I don't know, I couldn't get on that bus.
Otani didn't duplicate his MVP offensive season.
No.
That's why he didn't win.
His offense
he
wasn't
was
that.
he was definitely very good offensively last year and much better pitching last year as a starter. And like I said, his offense was great, but if he matched or was slightly worse, slightly better than what he was offensively in 2021, he would have definitely won it, I think. But he was not. He definitely was not. He was good, but I think Judge definitely should have won the MVP last year.
And I want to say, let me find Otani's WAR from last year.
Yeah, pretty sure Judge surpassed him.
He
in
had
WAR
him like by 5 or something
after
like
all
that.
this talk.
Yeah, no, Judge did beat him in WAR, but
But then I think it goes back to the other point where you can't quantify what Otani does. Sure, you want to talk about WAR and this and that, but even WAR doesn't comprehend what Otani does.
yeah, I completely agree. The WAR stat does not do Otani
Okay.
justice.
Exactly.
Oh,
I think the other thing is for MVP wise, if Otani does this year in year out, do you guys think that just diminishes his, I guess, like
it's not
not
impressive.
skill?
It's like
But
Mike.
like it's like
Mike Trout, where it's
like
like
you're not
he,
surprised.
Yeah, he was like so elite that like when he was like a tick below elite, people are like, "What? Mike Trout's not good anymore. He's washed."
Right.
So it's like,
True, yeah.
Right. He's a top 5 pitcher year in, year out, top 5 hitter year in, year out. Now it's just kind of like, okay.
yeah. To be
We know.
consistent in baseball is like one of like year in year out is like one of the craziest things. To be consistent from both sides is wild. Let me say, I am not hating on Otani. He was my MVP pick, but yeah, I just want to like just in case people think I'm like hating on Otani, I'm not.
Future Met. It's okay.
Future Dodgers, IMO.
Mariner.
Ooh.
No.
Marinero.
Ooh,
Goes
they're
to the
gonna dump
Mariners.
half
They
their
are
money?
taking over the American League West. 100%.
I wouldn't mind that.
That is
I
the
wouldn't mind that.
ideal fit.
You want me to give you guys a
Ideal
heart
fit.
attack? Future Astro.
Never
Nah.
happening.
They're not doing it. No
Future
way.
Brave.
They'll still find a way to make the World Series.
Dude.
Seriously.
All right, and then
Mauricio Dubon. Fucking it down.
Mauricio Dubon. One thing I was like mentioning earlier about like the pen and how like I think Severino coming back is gonna be massive, is just it's one of these things where the starters are just not going deep. Where like Nestor hasn't been himself, even Cole's only been going about 5 innings. I know he went 6 today and I think 6 another day, but it's only like 5-6. Where earlier in the year he was going like 7-8. So I'm obviously not expecting him to go 8 every day, but just a little more length from him is you almost need him to go 8 with how bad the rest of the starters have been lengthwise. So him coming back is just going to be massive because it literally got to the point today where Albert Abreu and Ryan Weber were your high leverage guys. Ryan Weber, who's the guy that gets DFA'd and then signed back when you need an arm, was the guy. Albert Abreu, who got DFA'd by 4 different teams last year, they were your high leverage guys in today's game. That's not, I shouldn't have to tell you that's not okay.
They shoved.
The-
When Ryan Weber was coming into this game, and it was commercial break, and he was coming in my head, the Blue Jays were already in the lead. Like
I had a
I
split.
was like,
I had a
we're
split.
not in the lead anymore, and I was genuinely shocked when the inning ended, and we were still in the lead.
Dude, it was.
The hate of Ryan Weber, guys.
No, it's
guys.
nothing-
Ryan Weber is a guy that understands his role. All right, he's gonna get DFA'd. And he'll come back on a minor league deal. I'll see you in like 3 weeks. All right, and he'll come in and he'll have like a weird game. He may be pretty good. He may give you a long relief game. He'll go like 3 innings and he'll be like, "Whoa, Ryan Weber," and then he'll get DFA'd again. He's always coming back.
He's the IKF of pitchers in the sense of you can't be mad at him for being him. You could be mad at how he's utilized. Where like him, he has value within himself. It's just he's not a 7th, 8th inning guy in high leverage. Like granted, they were strapped,
because
but
he has value because he accepts his assignment literally.
Yeah,
He
literally.
accepts his
expendable.
assignment every
He should
time.
be-
Like that's what they do.
Honestly, this may be
And
a
he's
hot.
cool with that.
This may be a hot take, but I feel like when Canley comes back, they should just DFA Abreu and then have Weber be the Abreu spot, or like the mop up late, like that guy when like the bullpen's kind of toast, you need someone to pitch, something like that. But
Knowing how this front office works, it's gonna be Weber over Abreu
oh yeah,
and out of 10 times. Every time, bro. Every time. Because Abreu can get up to 100 no matter, excuse me, if he's throwing strikes or not. He's a guy that they've had forever. He came up with them, they let him go, and he found his way back. That's how the Yankees roll. That is just how they roll. If that were to be the case, they would take Abreu over Weber.
I think they would too. I don't agree with that, but I definitely think. They
Yeah,
would
I'm not
too.
saying I do or don't. I'm
No.
just saying that's probably what they.
He's 6th percentile in walks, Albert Abreu. 3rd percentile in chase rate. 19th fastball
Masterclass.
spin. Fun.
Not good.
I will say though, like watching Abreu versus Weber, like the fact that they're both bad pitchers and one of them throws like 86, 87, and then one throws like 99, 100,
Yeah.
it gives me more confidence in that fact in Weber. 'Cause it's like, wow, this guy made it to the majors, doesn't even throw 90. Abreu's in here, he would not be on a major league mound right now if he threw 92, 93.
No.
So like, I don't know, just the fact that he throws really slow gives me a little bit of confidence because he's really bad.
I see that.
That makes sense.
I think it throws off hitters too. You're so used to seeing 99, 100 that something slower is going to throw you off.
It's like Nestor. Like when Nestor was like so just dominant the last 2 years, that was why. Because he was like slower. He got like really funky. He like really embraced the slower kind of like funky style. So
He learned how to pitch. He learned what he had, and he incorporated it into
yeah.
his work. He learned how to be a pitcher.
Yeah, I remember David Cohn said that like 26, 27 is typically when like the crafty lefties started to like figure it out, and Nestor is now 28, right?
Yes.
I want to say
believe
right
so.
now so like 26, 27 is when he figured it out. So that's why like I know some people are already calling him a fluke. I think it's way too early to say that, but
Only May. It's only May.
Yeah, that's-
he had a little rough stretch. He started really well.
yeah, he had a couple like
He didn't pitch bad today.
no, I think he pitched very well today. Going into the 6th inning or the 7th inning was another one of those things of like, I wouldn't have set him out normally, but you had absolutely no bullpen guys. So it was almost one of those things where like, you had to, and I'm not going to like knock Boone for it just because he was in a really tough situation. I feel like he kind of was forced to do that. But you guys got anything else on Nestor?
No, I think just his success is going to kind of not decide, but it's going to play a big part in kind of how far this team can go. Because I feel you have a decent amount of guys, pitchers at least, coming back from injury. You know, Severino's coming back Sunday, thankfully. And then you're still waiting on Rodon, but they're coming back from injury. They're not going to be pitching deep in the game straight off the bat. So if Nestor can kind of be that guy that gives you 6, 7, I think that's going to change the dynamic a little bit.
For sure. If your second best starter can give you that length that he needs to be doing, they're gonna be fine. They're gonna be fine. And I think I'm very confident in Nestor. He's shown a lot over the last few years. Excuse me. I think he's gonna be fine. He just had a rough stretch. Pitchers go through it.
Yeah. Yeah, kind of just quick little like notes I had about the minor leagues. Will Warren, for those that don't know, the Yanks' #1 pitcher, made his AAA debut today. He went 6 innings pitched, 4 hits, 2 runs, 0 walks, 4 strikeouts, only 71 pitches. I think very well debut. I still remember there was that stat that I don't remember the exact thing, but it was like 6 starts through the year where he had like a 4 ERA, but he had like a 1.01 FIP or something like crazy like that, where like he was just absolutely dealing in double A. Now he's like first start triple A, pretty good. It's kind of funny. And one of the runs he gave up was actually a home run to Jackson Frazier. And yeah, I thought that was a little. And yeah,
Jackson.
I don't think he'll
Frazier.
be called up this year. Maybe later down the year if like gets really bad, but. And then just 2 other guys. Austin Wells today went 2 for 2 with a home run, a walk, and a stolen base. He is 34 for 34 in his career in stolen bases. That's kind of just wild for a catcher.
Insane.
So
That's insane.
Whoa.
I don't get why he's not in AAA yet. That's kind of just like wild to me. And then the last guy, Jason Dominguez, in May is 15 for 52 for a 288 batting average. Didn't find like slugging on base because I was too lazy and the tweet didn't have it. He hit 4 home runs in that span, 14 RBIs, 15 runs, and 4 for 4 in stolen bases. He seems to finally be hitting again because there was like that point where he had like a 30 walk percentage like a month into the season. It was just a thing like he couldn't get pitches to hit. Now he finally is. So
Right.
I've been seeing some stuff. They may even fast track him if he like really lights up AA and AAA, and they like really need a left fielder if they haven't figured that out by like September. That they may, especially because he needs to be put on the 40-man next year. If there's a DFA candidate, who knows? But
Yeah, another thing from minor leagues, like you mentioned before, I don't know how we didn't really go into specifics, but breaking news: Ben Rortvedt might be real.
he may be real.
He
Maybe.
might be a real
He
person.
may be
Perhaps.
real.
He is.
There's a
I
chance.
would lean towards that he is.
Did you see the picture of Judge with the Bat Boy?
Listen, Will, we haven't seen him on the field yet. Yes, I did see the picture of him and Judge, but I don't believe it until he actually takes him at bat.
It's funny because he had like his arm around Rortvedt, and my dad was like, "Who is that? Is that his younger brother?" And then I just see like on Twitter, everyone like, "Oh, Ben Rortvedt, he's real." I was like, "Wait, that's Rortvedt?"
Yo, he's a big dude.
He's
Mm.
jacked.
Big guy.
I was
man.
just showing that he's one of those
Yeah.
people that like short people cover your ears. He's like insecure that he's short, so he just gets absolutely yoked. Like that's just the Ben Rortvedt lifestyle.
Is he short?
I'm pretty sure. I think he's compressed.
Is he short or is Judge just freakishly tall?
Yeah, come on now.
I want to say he's like
What if he's
5'10".
What if he's like 6'2" and you know?
Yeah,
He
right?
can't be taller
Good
than me.
judge.
He can't be taller than me. Please don't be.
Here we go. We're looking it up right now.
5'9", thank God.
Sorry.
Oh wow.
Yeah, no, I'm 6 foot on the dot. Thank God he's not. That would have been so bad if he's just like 6 foot, 6'1".
Embarrassing.
Shut up, he's taller than you.
He's 5'9", 191
Oh
though.
my God.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Dude's playing the
Whoa.
wrong sport.
Yeah.
Seriously. The
Wow.
Tyler O'Neill of catchers.
Dude, seriously. No, he's bigger than O'Neal. Like on like a pound for pound basis. Dude, that picture with
Oh,
the
that's a
bicep,
toss-up.
with the bicep though that I showed you, with the flexing with the curl bar.
I've seen that picture.
Yeah.
That's like what I was referring to.
Yeah.
when they
that's-
first traded for
Huge.
well, they didn't really trade for him. He was thrown in, but he may end up being VP.
That was the reason
when
they
he
made
was
that trade.
when he was
Yeah.
a stowaway on the plane.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
He just wanted out.
That was the first picture I saw,
Yeah.
of him, and I was like, "Whoa, this guy!"
And that was
is
like the last
ripped.
picture I saw of him until today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I Passman, that's his saving grace. That he will save the IKF trade and work that.
The Yankees got their guy.
The Twins don't even have any piece of that trade left.
Exactly.
So
You're right. Jesus.
they're both gone.
The Mets are
Gary's in the
benefiting from
books.
that trade.
They are.
Little
They
teaser.
are. Yeah, seriously.
All right, that's it I got from my overall thoughts. I'll go into look ahead unless you guys got anything else.
No?
Great series against
Oh,
Toronto.
back.
Aaron Judge hit 4 home runs.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't really get much better than that.
6 home runs his last
Definitely.
6 days.
I got 3 very winnable games. Well, you're gonna
Oh,
get
yeah.
into it though.
no,
I'm not
Aaron-
gonna get that
Aaron
into it.
Judge
It's
is
just, what were you gonna say? I cut you off.
Aaron Judge is the best. Aaron Hicks is back. That's all I gotta
Oh
say.
God, no.
3 hits for Aaron Hicks today. was special.
Game 1 is 6:40 on Friday. It's Clark Schmidt versus Ben Lively. Ben Lively is 1-for-1 with a 1.69 ERA. I forgot to write Clark Schmidt's stats down. That's probably for the better. Not good. Then game 2 is at 4:10 on Saturday. It is the best pitcher on the Yankees, TBD, versus Luke Weaver. Luke Weaver is 1-2, 6.26 ERA on the year. Then for game 3 at 11:35 on Peacock, is Luis Severino in his season debut versus Hunter Green, who is 0-3 with a 4.6 ERA. All these games should be winnable. I don't think they're gonna sweep, just because I feel like they're gonna take them lightly, or maybe like one of those things where like they have all that adrenaline from like these like high-powered games against the division, like so back to back to back, that they may just be burnt out a little. I hope not. I could see it going either way, where they go like 2-1 or like a sweep and they just absolutely like blow the doors off them. But
I think that TBD game is gonna be a Cordero Burrito game.
Cordero Burrito. Okay, let me.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that.
That might-
Or
yeah, I think that lines
somebody.
up.
I would prefer Cordero, but
I think Cordero's. I think that's a good spot for him, because I didn't like him in high leverage.
I say Cordero because they ran that back one time and it worked really well. So
Yeah.
why would you change it unless you needed Cordero in some situation after then?
Well,
I don't see why they.
I know he
wouldn't go
pitched
back.
25 pitches on Friday. Then about 20. Wait, what's today? Shit, I'm messing my days up. Today's Thursday. He pitched 25 pitches on Monday and then 25 pitches yesterday. So they're probably not gonna pitch tomorrow. So I think that would line him up to pitch that day. So
Makes sense, yeah.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
lines up. It lines up. It would make a lot of sense, and that would be nice to see. How this experiment goes in round 2. Was it just a one game kind of thing, or is this something that they can keep using for a little bit of time until they get some starters back?
agreed.
Definitely. But these
Huh.
3 games are extremely winnable.
Please win.
I mean, you never want to call for a sweep, but everyone's thinking it.
I did not say it. You said
didn't
it.
say it
I did
either.
not say
I
it.
didn't say.
I did not say
it.
the S word. I did
I
not
didn't
bring
say
up
it.
the S word. All right.
Yankees take 2 or 3. You heard it here first.
Oh god. No, I called for a sweep one time and that did not go well. That
No,
did
it
not.
didn't.
That was I called for a sweep on the Twins series. That did not go well.
Oh,
It did not.
That did not go. So I am never again. Never
can't say
again.
No.
So yeah. Into Queens.
So yeah, into Queens.
Now entering Queens.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Queens, where the Mets have won a series for the first time since April.
Golf claps.
Yeah, basically, little snaps. But the Mets took 2 out of 3 from the best team in baseball in the Rays. But of course, before we get into that, the injury report brought to you by Triboro MD, where we have a lot of positives to talk about. So first and foremost, Carlos Carrasco, who's been out with a bone spur since about April at this point, he will start Friday, first game against the Cleveland Guardians. So go figure. Jose Quintana is going in for a CAT scan this weekend. If everything goes well, he'll be cleared to ramp up baseball activities. They're still eyeing a July return date, but the more the merrier when it comes to starting pitching. And then Omar Narvaez, who's been out with a calf strain, will begin a rehab assignment next week. So that can maybe throw a wrench into things, the catching situation, because I'll add this in now, the Mets are calling up Gary Sanchez. He will be with the team on Friday. So, of course, since we have you lovely Yankees fans with us right now, what do you think?
It's the Sanchez.
Have
Season's turned around.
fun.
It's go time.
Have
I'm
fun.
ready.
This is it.
I think it's
Things
great.
are about to get crazy in Flushing.
Yeah, you know, I'm a little conflicted, I will say, because I feel like Francisco Alvarez and Gary Sanchez you kind of look at them and you kind of see like the same player. I will say Alvarez defensively has been great so far. Sanchez historically is not. But my only concern is I hope it doesn't eat into Alvarez playing time. I don't mind Sanchez being up, but, you know, Alvarez should still be the primary catcher. I would like Sanchez to DH over guys like Tommy Pham. But, you know, that's my only one concern. But it's exciting. I feel like it's kind of, you don't really lose anything, you know. He's been tearing it up in AAA. His OPS is over 1,000 in his first couple games. He's hit a home run. He's driven up a couple runs. So, again, maybe you catch lightning in a bottle, but I don't hate it.
Can I say something mean? Just looking at his stats the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Gary Sanchez is known for being this just absolute like hitting catcher, a monster hitter. In the last in the last 5 seasons, he has been an above average hitter once, OPS plus wise.
Right. So not what he was, but I will say I think he was with the Giants earlier on the minor league contract.
Yeah, he was on a
Yes,
minor
and then he
league deal
opted
then,
out.
yeah.
Yes. So he wasn't hitting with the Giants. Then he came over to the Mets. He was in AAA, and he kind of just hit the ground running. So I'm not sure what changed there, but hey, if he wants to start hitting some home runs, gladly take that.
I feel like
Mets badly need
I feel like this was like the second worst place for him to go, other than the
Why-
Yankees. Just because like the city already like most people in New York already hate Gary Sanchez, and just like he did not do well with like the pressure. Personally,
Right.
I think this was like I said, second worst landing spot for him, but only time will tell.
Yeah,
Well, here's the
definitely,
thing.
definitely.
Here's the thing. He played for the Yankees before he played for the Mets. No knock on the Mets here. Playing for the Yankees with the magnitude that he had as a prospect, not a recipe for success. This guy was like a highly regarded prospect for 4+ years and did not live up to that hype. Now he goes cross town to a fan base that doesn't like the fan base that he just came from or the franchise in general. So that gives them even more of an incentive to root for this guy and to help him like get back into that 2017, 2019, maybe even 2016 form. Who knows?
Right.
It's just fuel to the fire. I personally really liked it for the Mets for that reason and because, you know, they needed catching and he was a catcher available. Probably, you know, one of the better ones out there as a free agent. So the New York factor is there, but I don't know if it's the same, if it has the same effect. I think it's actually better for him to be across town and have that much more motivation to be better in New York.
Okay. Yeah, I could see that.
I agree. I think maybe even for Sanchez himself, maybe he's playing with a little bit of chip on his shoulder. You know, say what you want about a Mets-Yankees rivalry. If it's there, if it's not, I feel like it's a little bit up to debate. But, you know, kind of just I get, like you said, going across town. Maybe he's just playing for a little bit of an edge just to kind of right back at the Yankees.
Yeah.
But, you know, time will tell.
I
Time will
agree.
tell.
I think it's a fabricated rivalry, but that could just be me.
Yeah.
Like one person just got like mad with the Mets. Like one Yankee fan just got mad with the Mets fan, and then it just like started. But the teams really aren't really a rivalry.
Yeah.
I don't know about that.
Well, not to
mean,
the
The last couple years, those
No.
series have been
Yeah, that's true. That's
Yeah.
true.
they've been jawing at each other.
fair.
I will say-
because they're both good. They're both good teams. They want to run New York. So
Exactly.
you know, I think the rivalry is there. It's not like what it is with Toronto, but or with Tampa, but and the Red Sox.
Right. Definitely.
It's there though. It's there.
I feel like finally, after a rough couple of years, both of these teams are ready to contend. So I think that kind of changes it a lot. But yeah. But
No,
enough of that.
I do think it is like a very good fit for Gary. I'd like disagree with what you said, second worst landing spot, because especially for the fact that they have Alvarez, who has struggled a little bit, and it's like they have Gary right here. It's like, look at Gary. Don't be
Right.
like
Don't be like
he was the top prospect that was supposed to be what you were striving to be. Be
right.
the top prospect that everybody wanted Gary to be, and he's right there.
It's just like a
I think
funhouse
it's
mirror. It's like you
Alvarez.
don't want to look like this.
Yeah.
Just make
This
sure
is
you
Gary.
don't become this.
Don't be like
Don't-
Gary.
Don't be like Gary.
It's just crazy that we're sitting here right now and talking about how Gary Sanchez is on a minor league deal with the New York Mets and he's getting
Yeah.
called up.
Yeah.
I just can't. I can't
Not
fathom
real.
it. Just with
Time
this,
flies.
with his name, with Gary Sanchez, that name being in the mix for the Yankees for just 10+ years, and now he's on the Mets on a minor league deal at 30 years old is just bonkers. I'm sorry.
His
It's
2016. I'm just
Oh,
because
my
I
goodness.
still have it up. He had a 168 OPS plus in 2016 in what was that 53 games. Yeah, he got second in Rookie of the Year in 53 games.
Wow.
If they can get something out of him for a couple games until Narvaez is back, I kind of feel like this is the bridge back to Narvaez. So if he gets on a hot streak for a couple games, even a couple weeks,
Completely
I'll take
random.
it.
To Narvaez
Guess who
and
won?
maybe a DFA of Nito.
Guess who won
Maybe.
Rookie of the Year in 2016?
Michael Fulmer.
Yeah,
That's
Oh,
good.
that is a
that was a
name
good pull.
that I have not heard in
The
years.
Tigers.
Yeah,
yeah. All right.
Fulmer. Who's he with now? The Cubs?
that sounds
No,
right.
he's not with the Cubs. Oh, who's he with? He's
Giants?
with the Cubs. He's a
He's with the
great
Cubs.
guess.
Good job,
Alrighty.
Mike. You get a star.
Yeah. All right.
Michael Fulmer was also drafted by the Mets in the first round.
He was. That's true. Met
That's
legend.
that's how we tie it in.
There it is.
Perfect. Look at that.
From Queens.
And a nice
Had to
little
do it.
bow. But let's get into these games. So game 1 was not the best game for Justin Verlander. His third start with the New York Mets, he goes 5 innings, 8 hits, 6 earned runs, 2 walks, only 3 strikeouts. Obviously, he did not look sharp. He was hanging a lot of breaking stuff. You know, Isak Paredes kind of had his number this game, hitting 2 home runs off of him. But not sharp, not great, not what the Mets needed, especially how bad their starting pitching has been. They kind of looked to Verlander to be that stopper, to kind of be that guy that's going to give you 6, 7 strong innings, and obviously he didn't give him that. But look, the Rays are an extremely good baseball team. The best right now, definitely, I'll say. And the Mets kind of fought back a little bit. So, quick scoring summary. Brett Beatty hit a solo home run for the Mets' first run of the game. And then Pete Alonso followed up with a 2-run home run. And Eduardo Escobar off the bench came up with a 2-run home run in the bottom of the 9th. But unfortunately, it wasn't enough for a comeback as the Mets lost that first game 8-5. I think for this game, the Mets just kind of got beat. Verlander got beat. I found this a little interesting. The Mets never had a runner in scoring position. How
How many runs they
Beatty,
score?
They scored 5 runs, never having a runner in scoring position.
It's kind of wild.
They hit 2 solo home run or 1 solo home run and 2. How did they do that?
Yeah, 2
That's
2-run home runs.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
There you go.
So, I mean, I think it's kind of like, I feel like I say this almost every episode at this point. The pitching falters, the offense tries to come back, but too little, too late. But obviously, lost game one, kind of bad taste in your mouth. But not much to talk about there. I think the main piece of this series was game two. Kodai Senga was magnificent in this game. Yeah, his ghost fork was working today. Kodai Senga went 6 innings, 3 hits, 1 earned run, 3 walks, 12 strikeouts. His best start, without a doubt. I'm not sure how much you guys have watched Kodai's starts, but he
I've
was
seen about
pounding
3
the
of them.
strike zone. Yeah, he was pounding the strike zone. 3 walks. Obviously, walks are just going to be part of this game at this point, but 12 strikeouts. The Rays could barely touch him, and I think that was huge.
He's looked great. He's looked great. I remember watching his first start, and it was against Miami, I
Yeah,
think, right? Yeah.
yeah.
And he got into a little bit of trouble in the beginning, and ever since then, I feel like has had this steady progression of getting more and more comfortable each start. Like this last time out was phenomenal. It was great. I mean that forkball is really all it's lived up to.
Legit, yeah. I don't have it right in front of me, but I know that pitch has not been barreled up. Maybe 1 hit, if I'm remembering correctly, only a handful of hits off that ghost fork, whatever you want to call it. So it's legit, and it's translating extremely well to the major leagues.
It is. It looks great. In that first start against Miami, he had a really tough time of keeping it below the zone. It was low in the strike zone. That pitch needs to be below the zone every time. And he, like I said before, has consistently looked much more just mechanically sound, especially throwing that pitch. And I think every time he goes out there, that pitch looks more and more unhittable.
So, definitely.
I'm trying to find the numbers on it, but I just cannot find it.
All I know is it's really,
No.
really good.
And we talked about this too, how like you can't expect him to be what he was immediately in Japan this year. Like he's doing better so far this year than I really expected him to be this early. Because I thought it may have taken more time to like adjust like the new league, all like the new stuff like pitching on less days rest, pitching with a slightly bigger ball. So I think this is definitely really encouraging to see how much he's already adjusted, and that makes me believe there's even more that can be adjusted down the road.
Yeah,
Definitely.
so I found the numbers on it from Baseball Savant. He's thrown it 164 times this year in 53 plate appearances that have resulted in a walk or a ball in play. Hitters are 5 for 44 with a 87 expected batting average, 114 slugging, 101 expected slugging, 203 WOBA, 188 expected WOBA.
So he's getting unlucky, actually.
58.8 whiff percentage.
Yeah, so he's getting unlucky because you said 5 for
A little bit.
45, so that's over 100, and you said .087.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
he actually is getting a little bit unlucky.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Wow. But as much as Kodai Senga shined in this game, I think the real, I don't want to say hero. There were a lot of heroes in this game, in this fantastic comeback. But Mark Vientos was called up that day, and he was in the lineup that day and hits a 2-run home run, his first game back in the major leagues to tie the game at 2. And I don't know if you guys saw the home run, but that was not an easy pitch to hit dead center. It was like inside, and he just muscled it out just a little smidge to the left of center field. This guy's power is legit. And I think he just needs to play constantly.
Yeah, he's been up for what? This was his second game now. So
That was his first, right? Like
Did
this
they
year
play
at
first?
least. This year.
This- played today?
This year. He did not
Oh
play
wait, the
today.
Mets didn't play today. That's right. So yeah, it was his first game. So I have a buddy of mine, my roommate, actually interviewed Lindor and asked him what he thought of Vientos. And Viento, let me pull it up real quick. What did Lindor say about Vientos? Well, my roommate asked him about advice that he would give Vientos. Shout out to you, AP, Chris Persianen. Incredible coverage of the Mets and more specifically the Knicks. But he said to be himself and nothing different. And that on that game in particular, it feels good, but tomorrow we have to get back to work. He actually sat down and he interviewed Lindor and talked about Vientos. He said some more things, but I don't have it on me right now. But yeah, Vientos, what was he, the 7th overall prospect in the Mets system?
Yeah, 7th. So, he's this big power bat. I think the one issue I had with the call-up, not necessarily with him, I think he needed to be called up at this point. He was tearing up AAA. There's no reason to keep him in AAA. The corresponding move was Luis Guillorme, who's really your backup infielder, defensive replacement, which is fine. But Vientos doesn't necessarily have a position. He's a third baseman, first baseman by trade, but, you have Brett Beatty at third base. You have Alonso at first base. Obviously not going to play Vientos over Alonso. I don't think you're going to play Vientos over Beatty. So I think he needs to be the full-time DH.
I think the only way he gets full play, everyday playing time, is if you either DH him every day or if you have Beatty in the outfield every day, which I don't really see them doing.
Right. So, speaking of, Beatty kind of made an appearance in the outfield in this game because I forgot who he pinched it for, but he pinched it and he was left in left field for the last inning or so. So, maybe I'm not going to take too much stock into it. I think it's just late game. You just need him to kind of stand in the outfield.
He has experience.
Yeah, he has a couple games under his belt in left field, but I wouldn't mind them trying Beatty in left field if it gives Mark Vientos a turn at third base, because I think those two guys just need to be in the lineup.
I would agree.
And you just got to figure it out.
I think the Mets really need to. I mean, they're looking better now. They needed to really tweak their lineup when they were in that slump, badly. I have to pull it up. There was a specific lineup that I saw, and I was just like, "What is Buck Showalter doing?" It just didn't make sense to me.
There's been a few.
If I can find an example. Okay, 1 through 4. Nimmo McNeil, Lindor, Alonso. I just don't like that.
Really?
Don't like it.
I don't have a problem with that, actually.
McNeil should be number 1.
Okay.
Alonso should be 2. I'm sorry. Is that what I wanted? Oh yeah, McNeil should be 1. Alonso should be 2. I think Nimmo should be 3 and Lindor should be 4. I think that's how they should run it, because Nimmo, he gets on base a lot, but he also has a higher batting average than McNeil overall. So McNeil also gets on base at a decent clip, not like Nimmo, but he could still get on base for you at that leadoff spot. Then if you put your best hitter at the number 2 spot, as they should be doing, and they're not, I think Alonso would thrive a little more in that spot. And then you slot Nimmo in 3. That one Nimmo in 3. I feel like you could kind of play around with. Maybe you keep Lindor there, but I don't know. I saw it during their stretch of just bad baseball, and I was like, if I'm Showalter, I would consider just doing this for a game or two to break whatever's going on, and if it works, it works. But that was last week before they had that monster walk off. So I don't know. I felt like their lineup construction could have had a little tweaking because it felt like Buck was putting out the same thing like all the time, and it just wasn't making a lot of sense. They weren't winning. We're not winning, and obviously the pitching wasn't there, but something had to give, and I just saw that lineup, and I was like, let's retool it a little bit. Let's retool it.
I will say I don't hate Alonso at 2.
I do.
I like the best hitter at 2.
Yeah.
I maybe that's just the Yankee in me from watching Judge being the number 2 guy all the time, but that was just a baseball thing that I had learned throughout the years of just playing and watching baseball. You want your best overall hitter at number 2. Now, Pete is your best power hitter. Overall, he's the Mets' best hitter. He's
definitely.
without a doubt the most well-rounded hitter on that team. So, and I think you need to take a look at McNeil's and Nimmo's ground ball percentage. A big problem with the Mets, and Nick, you can attest to this, double plays. You get a guy on base and they just ground into double plays every single time. That was my motive of this lineup switch. Less balls hit on the ground, situations where there's guys on base. They need to start hitting the ball in the air. It was always, every time I turn on the Mets game, it's always a double play. Anytime I have somebody on base, double play, roll it up.
I agree. Yeah, no, definitely. That's definitely been something that's plagued them. And even these couple games that they've won, they've hit into some pretty disastrous double plays where they really kind of sold themselves short on a big inning. But no, definitely that the ground ball percentage can definitely improve. I mean, I think a not big factor, but for someone like Beatty, who has consistently, when he's played, has consistently been hitting the 5 hole. He has been hitting the ball on the ground. I don't have the number in front of me, but he's been hitting on, I feel like every time, he is always hitting the ball on the ground. And he has some good pop. Like, he has some power in there, but if you can't get on the ball in the air and you're hitting consistently on the ground, it's not a recipe for success. So I don't hate that lineup construction. I will say I think Nimmo is a mainstay at leadoff spot just because of his on-base skills.
Yeah, and I know it's like tough to pull him from that spot. I know he's always has a OBP over 400, so that makes it almost impossible to pull him from that spot. So
definitely,
I get that. And I don't even have the numbers in front of me. I'm just doing it based on what I've seen when I watch the Mets play. They needed to get a bat, and they didn't get a bat, and they need to start hitting the ball in the air more. And I'm not necessarily looking for their ground ball percentage to improve, but because it is what it is. But they need to get guys who aren't going to bounce into double plays up in situations more often. So I think maybe penciling in different lineup combinations would be pretty favorable for them.
Just to add to your point, Nick, I found it. Brett Beatty this year is a 49.2 ground ball percentage.
Yeah, almost 50%.
But if you look at his career, that just like seems like who he is.
Yeah, no, that's the one issue I kind of
every year is like hovering like between 40 and 60. There's one year he had in AAA this year he had a 30 ground ball percentage, but in MLB he has 50. So it's like that's really the only time he's had below 40 in his entire career.
Right, and when it was below 40,
look what he did.
I'm sure you're looking at the stats right now. He was tearing it up in AAA.
Yeah, let me see.
So that was my one concern when he was brought up. I think he just needs playing time to kind of just get over.
Yeah,
that hump, I guess
1.386 OPS in AAA.
Right, just get the ball in the air, put the ball in play off the ground, hitting line drives, gap to gap. That's kind of where he's gonna flourish.
Yeah, 237 WRC plus. That's wild.
Right, insane. But to get back to the game, so Mark Vientos played hero in the 7th inning, but then another kid, the bottom of the 9th, wanted to show up his friend just a little bit. Francisco Alvarez hit a game-tying 3-run home run off of Jason Adam, who has had a he had a good year last year. He's been off to a good start this year. But, man, he hung, I forget if it was a curveball or a slider, but he hung that so bad, right down the middle. Alvarez crushed it off the second deck scoreboard. It was an absolute
I
bomb.
could be wrong, but I think he's also the guy that gave up a huge home run to Rizzo. I could be wrong on that, but I think he also like blew the game for the Rays, like the series that just happened too.
Right, right. And then from there, extra innings, runner on second. Rays scored 2 in the top of the 10th. Excuse me. It was looking a little bleak, but then Pete Alonso, when you need him most, hits a walk-off 3-run home run as the Mets won this game 8-7. What a game, first of all. And I talked about this, I want to say, Justin, correct me if I'm wrong, like a week, 2 weeks ago, that this team didn't have an identity.
Yes.
That by this time last year, you had the 7-run comeback against the Phillies. You had the combined no-hitter against the Phillies. You had the comeback against the Cardinals, and just another handful of team-defining.
They didn't have the World
games.
Series DVD games.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
like the best way I can put it. Like,
yeah, they didn't have a game where you're gonna look back on the season and remember that game.
I remember, yeah.
This was that game. This game was huge for them. This, I think, can define, because it's just happened, so I'm not gonna call anything the way it is. But this game, if this what turns them around, you can look back in a couple months from now, and you can point to this game for being the turning point. This was an absolute fantastic win. Without a doubt, the best win of the season.
And I will.
Look,
oh, sorry.
No, sorry. One last thing.
Go ahead.
They hit 3 home runs. Whether you like it or not, this game is built off of home runs.
Take that, Joey from Queens. No, but damn, I lost my train of thought now. Oh, I will say this. After that game happened, I was like, okay, that is awesome for the Mets. Great win. But if they lost today, I think that would have meant nothing.
I agree. Which, I guess we'll get right into Game 3, where Tyler McGill was on the mound, and he looked pretty good. I think Tyler McGill is essentially your 7th starter in your depth chart, and he gave you 6 strong innings. He went 6 innings, 4 hits, 2 earned runs, 1 walk, and 4 strikeouts against an extremely good Rays lineup. And the Mets offense kind of backed him up a little bit. He let up a run in the top of the first, but they tied it bottom of the first with a Beatty RBI ground out. Alonso again with another home run, put the Mets up 2-1. Rays ended up tying it on a Josh Lowe home run, but my favorite guy, Tommy Pham, with a little dribbler up the line to score the game-winning run as the Mets won 3-2. Like you just said, Justin, Game 2's win was fantastic, but they needed to win today, and that's exactly what they did.
No.
I think it was huge win, a huge series win against the best team in baseball. I couldn't be happier. After watching dreadful baseball for about 2 weeks, I'd say, Mets win a series against one of the better teams in the league. Couldn't be happier.
And I think you guys, you go, Will.
I just said they needed it.
No, I was going to say, I think that they really, one thing that's not being talked about enough is how a lot of people think the Rays bullpen is a lot better than it is. And I think the Mets did a really good job of exploiting it. Like, I just did, like, some quick numbers. They're 14th best in ERA. They have the 24th rated FIP in baseball. So their bullpen has just not been pitching well. So I think the Mets did a very good job of exploiting that. I know I was shocked when I saw those numbers too. I thought they had like such a good bullpen, but like I'm looking on FanGraphs, their bullpen's not that good.
That's weird. They usually have like
That's
top 5
that's all.
bullpen baseball.
I felt like that was
Yeah.
part of like why they were so good because their bullpen. But like now, look back at the Yankee series. Look what they did. They got the starters out, just killed the bullpen. That's what the Mets did. So
It's really been their offense.
Yeah, their offense
Offense
is
has
the
been
reason why
great.
they're so good.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm thinking
Yeah,
also like
I mean-
obviously the offense, but it's the Rays always got the pitching.
Yeah, looking at this because obviously interdivisional game. I'm not looking at the Rays all the time, but each guy has an OPS over 900, and like what Taylor Walls?
You can't
Where did
explain
he
that to
come
me.
from?
Yanni
Harold
Diaz
Ramirez.
is a 5 hitter in baseball somehow.
Exactly, and Josh Lowe's having a breakout or Lowe or Lau, whichever one it is having a breakout season. Just each guy is an extremely tough out. And that's why I was so impressed by Senga's start, because I know the Rays are a patient team. And if Senga struggled with control, that start could have gone extremely different.
Looking at expected
Absolutely.
FIP, they're even lower. They're 29th.
Oh.
So all the underlying numbers say that's yeah.
Not great.
The
Not
Rays
great
really
for
all
Rays.
that good? Or is that where we're getting at right now? Are the
I-
Rays?
I'm just saying
phonies,
their
or are they
bullpen
okay?
is-
Odds? Odds?
I think they're not as good as their record shows, just because I think that pace for any baseball team is unsustainable. I think they're a very good team, but they're definitely a 100-win team, 105-win team at their best. But who knows? I'm not going to be calling them out because they're the best team in
105?
baseball right now. Well, I'm saying at
I
their
think
best.
105 is a reach. That's a reach.
Well, I'm saying at their best if maybe they keep up some of this magic.
I think at their
Right.
best, they're a 95-win team.
Okay.
Honestly,
Yeah, I mean, look, their starting pitching has taken a hit.
Yeah.
And even that's an understatement. Jeffrey
And
Springs, Drew Rasmussen. Yeah, who knows when Tyler Glasnow is getting back and how long he's going to stay healthy. Like, I don't know if you can
I feel like
ride on Zach
Glasnow's
Eflin.
name is always in there, but he's never on the mound.
Glasnow's just.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's always
I feel like he's Chris Sale. Like almost like
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Kinda.
Where like he's about to be back and then bye. He's back for
Then a
like a month
back.
and then bye, and then
yeah. Right.
But he arguably, when he's on the mound, in my
Oh.
opinion, could be a top 10 pitcher in baseball.
his stuff is some of the nastiest. Like when
Curveball.
he's healthy, he goes 8-9 innings. When his stuff's
Right.
on, it's just
Definitely.
You know what, Nick? Unfortunately you are outnumbered here, 3-1. But I'm still confident in the Mets. I'm confident in the Mets. Make run again this year. They need a bat so desperately, though.
I
They
agree.
needed a bat over the offseason. Could not lock down Correa. Honestly, now, was
Right.
that the bat that they could have used? Probably not. He hasn't been that
Yeah.
great this year.
Mhm.
I think Cohen really and Epler really need to get the gears going and get on the phones and make something happen. Cohen is known for making things happen.
Yep.
I think you can wait and see with Gary Sanchez, I guess.
Yeah.
Maybe you get something out of him, maybe you don't. It doesn't. It's not the end of the world. You got him for an absolute bargain, but minor league deal.
Yeah.
But they need a bat so bad. They really do. And honestly, it can come from anywhere. They could get it. They can plug a bat anywhere in their lineup that they need, any position. Honestly, they just need somebody. They need to make a move.
I agree. And I don't think, as much as I was advocating for Beatty to be called up, for even Vientos to be called up, I don't want to rely on these kids to bring the power and the bat that they need, as many other Mets fans are calling for Ronnie Mauricio to be called up when the guy doesn't walk and the guy strikes out a lot, and relying on that would be 4 rookies in the lineup. Even 3's pushing it because you're playing Alvarez as much as you are. But no, I totally agree. They need a bat, and this trade deadline, I know we're in May. We're still basically 3 months away. But if they're still in contention, they need to make a move.
you stole my
You know,
talking point. I was just about to
he-
say that.
Beatty, Vientos, Alvarez. What am I missing that you just not
Ronnie
Mauricio?
Mauricio.
Vientos, Beatty, Alvarez. I think you got all three.
Yeah.
So you said if they had called them up, yeah, yeah. Those guys should be like complementary pieces. Their development should not like be. What am I trying to say? Their developmental process should not be the fate of the Mets season. That it's just
Yep.
it's
Agreed.
not good. Those guys they should have guys around they can develop easier instead of relying on Brett Beatty and Francisco Alvarez to do a lot of work on offense, which you want them to do, but instantly right away, that's a
Yeah.
lot to ask for.
To have a Pete
Definitely.
Alonso, Aaron Judge rookie year, that's just like so. There's a reason why people are freaking out when they had those years, because those are so unheard of and so far and few between that people got to realize, like, yeah, they're high prospects, but how many of high prospects actually pan out? And part of that is because they don't get developed the right way. Let them develop, let them become the player they are, and don't put all the pressure of them having to be the guys on them rookie year.
I agree. Totally agree.
I definitely think that the Steve Cohen will go out and add a big bat, especially considering they had Carlos Correa in the lineup, and then it got taken away from them. And then once you look at their lineup, it's like, how did this lineup get better from last year? They just added prospects.
I think
Right.
that they definitely did get. They got screwed by that, I think, because they're like, oh, we have Correa for a month, and then no, I think not signing Correa was the right move, but it's like, okay, we could pencil in Correa for a month, then Correa's not on the team. Who's on the market? No one.
No one.
And like
Tommy
that
Pham.
sense. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Fan. One thing I wanted to say that's really been hurting them, their base running.
Yeah.
Base running has been awful, man.
I
Oh
agree.
my god. Take so many outs on the bases, it's just unacceptable.
Yeah.
Acceptable.
The third base coach is probably a little aggressive. He's been sending a couple guys when they probably shouldn't be trying to score. But no, I agree. I think this past 2 weeks, whatever, where they're playing this really bad brand of baseball, this not Buck Showalter brand of baseball, they're making mental mistakes. They're not doing the little things. And that's kind of these last two games are kind of where they put it together, and they did the little things. They took the walks, they worked the counts, and they hit home runs, which they have been lacking. So I think you add in the home run ball with those little things, and you got a much better looking team than you did a couple weeks ago.
And I will say the thing about the home run ball, like we said, you can't rely on rookies. Obviously you can't take them out, but if you take out the rookie home runs, you only have one from a veteran. So you just gotta hope like the rookies will have their home runs, but other guys like Marte, Lindor can also start picking it up because they have some pop with them.
Yeah, exactly. That's another thing. Marte needs to step it up. Marcana, who's not a star, but he still needs to pick things up.
He should
Lindor
be.
is still having
not Canna.
weird year.
I thought you said Nemo.
No, Nemo's been all right. Nemo's been streaky. That's his issue. He's been really hot, and then he goes like 0 for 20, and then he'll go like 12 for 20 the next week. He's been streaky. My one silver lining is this lineup has yet to get hot. Everyone's streaky at different times. Once everything starts clicking, you'll start seeing things like you saw in this series, where they're scoring consistently, and they're getting back into the game, and they're not going to be out 3 runs.
Yeah, no, I definitely think that will happen soon. Like with the amount of talent that they have in this lineup, Nemo and Alonso have really been the only guys that have actually like performed up to their level. I think Marte will start to pick it up. He's been horrific so far, and Lindor.
He's been brutal.
Yeah.
Lindor and McNeil, I think, will regress to their normal selves. So once those two start hitting, and then assuming Alonso and Nemo are continue to do what they're doing.
Right, definitely.
You gotta think it's just injuries with Marte though. Just because like there's so many different things you're hearing that are wrong with him, and like he's historically a very good hitter, And like even there was a thing I was saying how like his base running is not close and like speed is not close to what he usually is. So like if there's so many different
It's like
issues.
34 now, right?
Yeah.
So it's like
34th
34.
percentile after being like low 70s past
34
couple
years old though. He's 34 years old though.
nah,
Yeah. Look,
This
you
is his
you signed him to a
13th
4-year contract going, and he's
there's
already
2
kind
more
of on the
right?
wrong side of
This
30.
year, 1 more.
Is on the wrong
2
side
more
of
after
30.
this year.
I didn't like that contract from the beginning. I liked it for last year and this year.
Right.
Back half, I was like, And
Yeah,
last year he
definitely.
was great. And then this year, I was like, I think Marte is a big part of this team again.
He
And
is.
just he started to regress a lot earlier than I anticipated. And
Definitely.
hopefully for the Mets' sake, it's just he's just kind of off to a slow start, and it's not an actual I'm getting older
Right.
and
Definitely.
really regressing
Yeah.
here. He's been a really solid ball player for them and his whole career, but it's what happens.
Yep.
Definitely a guy that needs to start turning it around. He's got a negative WAR right now. That's
Yeah.
just that. It's not going to cut it. Not going to cut
No.
it.
No.
And to your
definitely
point,
not,
in
definitely not.
Buck Showalter's ideal lineup, he's the 2-hole hitter. So you're pretty much
Yeah.
taking out the 2-hole hitter in that lineup. That does a lot. Like
Right.
that changes
I mean,
everything.
He went down in, what was it, August of last year, September of last year, and that's when the season just spiraled. That's when they got swept by the Cubs at home. They didn't win against the Braves. And even in the wild card, he was still playing with basically a fractured hand. And we all know what happened there. So as much as he may not look like it, Marte is a big part of this team. He's a big piece of this lineup who needs to get it going.
Yeah, no, just like looking at his baseball savant page right now, defense is bad. Six percentile outs above average. The speed's gone. 43rd percentile. 38th percentile xWOBA. Just everything.
Yeah. Everything's not looking good.
A lot of
Everything.
dark blue.
Yeah, which is what you don't want to see. But look, let's not dwell on the bad too much because this
92nd
was a
percentile
series
arm
to
strength.
remember. There you go. His arm's still good.
Yeah, 96.
Gotta ride the momentum after this series.
Definitely.
Gotta ride the
Definitely.
momentum. If they can't carry this, who are they playing next? Do you know off the top of your head?
Yeah, they're playing the Cleveland Guardians next, which I think is
A team-
a decent matchup.
I think so too. I think they match up well. Team that they can definitely be. A team that I still think can win that AL Central, but is still kind of finding their way. That's a perfect opportunity for the Mets to get going. You just took down the best team in baseball. Let's take down another solid team, but nowhere near the magnitude of the Rays. So let's get going right now.
Yeah.
Right. And perfectly said, we'll get into looking ahead to that Guardian series. Game 1, like I said earlier, Carlos Carrasco's making his return. He's going up against Cal Quantrill. He's had a decent season. He's kind of been an average pitcher for his career. But Game 2 is where I'm really looking, and that's with Max Scherzer, who but he had a start in Washington after being scratched due to neck spasms. He looked pretty good, went 5 innings, but we could talk about offense all we want, but this team is probably relying on Max Scherzer and Justin Verlander. And Justin Verlander's had his hiccups like this Rays series, but he's just getting back from injury. Max Scherzer needs to get it going.
This has been their recipe. 1-2 punch at the top of the rotation, and it didn't work last year. Was DeGrom. Unfortunately, it has not worked again this year.
Right.
So, Verlander, he still needs to get into a groove. It's kind of like a delayed spring training for him. It feels like, I think those two guys though are gonna be fine. Scherzer, though, on the other hand, still think he's gonna be fine. I'm very like surprised, very surprised in how he's pitched so far this year. There's been some
Definitely.
games where it just doesn't look like it's Max Scherzer out there.
Yeah, no, definitely. And, it's hard to think, is this age? Is this the Max Scherzer aggression? Because, his velocity's been down, his spin rate's been down. You can point to all these things, but I do think he'll be fine. I don't think he's going to be the Max Scherzer you paid him to be, but I still think he's going to be a very solid pitcher. I think he just needs to get into an actual routine. I feel like he's been so mismatched throughout this entire season so far. He hasn't been able to settle down and settle into his rotation spot.
And it's weird because he still has his Max Scherzer antics, in the past how just the whole Mad Max thing, and it's just not the same. And it's we obviously there's a lot of things you could point to, but it's just weird to see as a baseball fan of something you've seen work for so many years and then just it being different. Obviously there's many different things you could attribute to it, but to see that him still have the intensity and it just not be able to produce the prior results is just kind of wild to see.
Definitely.
Yeah, it is.
That's
it
sad.
is.
To me, it's more sad than it is wild. A guy that was just, what was it? Oh my God, a 7-straight-time All-Star, or seven-time All-Star consecutively. In one of my favorite pitchers growing up, watching him. 5 ERA on this season.
Yeah.
Oh man,
Yeah,
but
it is.
I think you got to trust Mad Max.
Yeah.
Let me ask you, Nick. Where do you said finding his role in the rotation, right?
Yeah.
Where do you see his role? Is he the ace, or do we have this dual ace dynamic with the Mets? Because last year I felt like DeGrom was the ace, because Scherzer was the ace because DeGrom was out for a while.
Yeah.
And when DeGrom came back, kind of had this dual effect again, but Scherzer had pitched a majority of the year that I was like, Scherzer is the Mets guy. So who do you see as the ace for the Mets?
Right now, I think it's going to be Justin Verlander. I have a little more faith in Justin Verlander because, this might be unorthodox, but because he's, now 2 years removed from Tommy John, I have a little more faith in him. I think that I'm not saying he's going to pitch for, years on end, but, he didn't pitch in 21. He barely pitched in 20, I think. And came back last year, won the Cy Young. I think if you treat him right and you allow him to settle in and give him a good resting regimen, I think he is the ace, and it's not really a question. I think
Yeah.
Max Scherzer is going to be good. I don't think Max Scherzer is going to be the Mad Max that the Mets signed him to be, but I still think he's going to be solid, but Justin Verlander is going to be your guy.
Yeah, I completely agree. Sure, Verlander's coming off a Cy Young, and Scherzer, what we saw in the playoffs last year, what we've seen this year, it's sad to say, he's not an ace anymore until he
Right.
proved that he pitched one, and that's
Exactly.
and then
Exactly.
I picked Scherzer to win Cy Young. I'll admit I did, but that was a pretty bad pick. I think he'll pick it up.
I do so as well.
I was just gonna something to add to your point about the 2 years from Tommy John. I don't know how it is in baseball, but I know in football there's a lot of research done that 2 years out, the year after people come back from tearing their ACL, they're kind of because it still bothers them a little bit. They may not have the same production, maybe something mentally, but the second year is really when they take off and they're a lot different. So I don't know how much of that can be transferred into baseball, but I know that's a big thing in football.
It really depends.
Yeah.
That motion that you make with your arm is, I would say, a lot more repetitive than motions that you're making your ACL.
Okay.
honestly.
I get what you mean.
Because
Yeah.
also you have external force that you are holding, or not a force, an object you're holding that you need to create power behind it. Like you need to use that. You need to use your entire body. At least your with your knees. You're not trying to say here. You're just trying to pinpoint the repetitiveness of that motion. All about the wear and tear, because for pitchers, that's what you do. You just wear and tear that arm. You mold it. So I don't know. That's a good one, Alonzo.
Yeah.
I thought I had something going, and now you're making me
Because
think
I
about
feel like it could go like both ways, where it's like, because I feel like Tommy John is like to the ACL, like baseball, football, not necessarily a 1-to-1, but the closest that can be. So I'm curious if there is
maybe Achilles.
Achilles. Okay.
Maybe Achilles,
Okay.
because I think over the years with the ACL, I think rehab for ACL has definitely gotten like enhanced. I
There's some
feel
weird
like we
stuff.
see guys coming back a lot faster from ACL injuries.
Have you
It doesn't seem like a full season injury used to be automatically every single time, as it, Tommy John is still like months.
No.
Some people, it's not. Harper is just that was a complete exception. He is a
No.
position player. And
Bryce
he
Harper's just Bryce
Let's
Harper.
not forget
Chris
Aaron Hicks
Sale
did the same
saying
thing.
that he's making us look. What did he say? He's making us look
He
bad,
said
or he's
that?
making us something
Bro.
along those lines in terms of. But it wasn't in that way. It was more of in regards of fast Harper had recovered from the injury. Time it's like you're pitching, hitting, a lot different kind of stress.
Was it Hicks
on
or
that ligament.
Didi? That was Didi, right? That the same thing happened
I
with.
think Hicks
I
and
think
Didi both
both?
had Tommy
Both
John.
did, yeah.
I think Hicks came back a little bit quicker. Otani also came back hitting after Tommy John.
Oh
I
yeah,
forgot he
that's
got
true.
Tommy
That's
John.
true.
I
Yeah.
completely forgot about that.
Glaber, when he was in the minors with the Yankees, got Tommy John.
No.
Yankees had 3 guys with Tommy John that were not pitchers.
That's crazy. But going back to your question, I suppose, I think Tommy John is one of the most like case-to-case injuries you can have. It all depends on the person. Like you look at Justin Verlander, he came back, won the Cy Young. Look at Noah Syndergaard. He had Tommy John, and he's throwing 92 at best.
That's how your body reacts.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. So I think it just depends on the person. But
It's almost like
you
a
know,
coin flip.
Almost.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Verlander
Verlander
could have
came
been a
back strong.
complete flop. He could have been a complete flop, and he wasn't.
Yeah.
It's
I feel like he's an
it's a
anomaly.
crapshoot.
Honestly, when you really think about all the stuff that was against him, I feel like that just has to be his body just being so different in a way, because with how old he was and just all that wear and tear on the arm, to be able to come back, win the Cy Young, and we don't even know what he's doing this year. He could go on to pitch. If he pitches below a sub-3 ERA, I think that'll be like one of the craziest storylines. Just when you really like think about it.
Definitely.
Shows you how truly dominant been for almost the 20 years that he's played.
No.
It separates him, and it puts him in that category, maybe even above some of those all-time names, because
He's truly one of the greats.
Really is. He really, really is, and he's fine wine. He's literally fine wine. That's been it's been his label.
I hate giraffe neck
Adding to
mark,
it.
but it's perfect.
Yeah, I think that kind of puts it perfectly. And that's why I have a little more faith in him, But, and speaking of Verlander, if he's starting the last game of the series up against Shane Bieber, so that should be a pretty good pitching matchup on Sunday Night Baseball. But I think Justin Verlander is going to be your guy, but Max Scherzer still needs to get it going. Verlander is going to be,
Rough start. That suspension was like,
yeah,
That was.
really put a wrench into things.
it was tough. It's like, wow, that's just a drag, you know.
Yes,
And we're not
definitely.
even talking
I see
about
that.
how there was like what 2 minor league pitchers for the Mets that
Yeah.
got ejected. Like what?
Yeah, the past 2 days. Dylan Bundy, who's a journeyman at this
That's
point.
wild. Like, I did not know
Yeah.
he was with the Mets.
Yeah, he signed a minor league contract, and his ERA is over like 10. So he's not faring well.
Wow.
So might as well cheat at that point. And then another reliever got suspended today. So I don't know what's going on
Didn't he
there.
get like
but
booted before he even threw a pitch?
I wasn't sure. I saw he got suspended. I wasn't
Okay.
sure the exact
I'm pretty sure it
story.
was like he like came into the game right as he came in. The umpire checked and like ejected him before he even threw a pitch. So he
funny.
didn't even get a chance to cheat.
But no, I think this series that the Mets just won can be a season changer. It's definitely a momentum shift right now, and like you said, Will, they got to keep the momentum going.
Great opportunity ahead of them. They
Definitely.
can do it. Cleveland is not. I'm not saying that it's going to be an easy series for them because they're always a scrappy team. Yeah, it's a winnable series. It is a winnable series, and they have to keep that same momentum that they had in the Rays series.
Definitely.
Just they got to keep it going.
Yeah. No. But that's all I got. So if you guys got anything else to add,
I got something.
yeah.
So if you saw that I was like twirling a marker around, did I tell you I was gonna do this, Nick?
No, but I caught
You caught
on.
on. So
Yeah.
we
Watching
have
you do that the
our
whole
logo.
time.
Oh wait, you can't. We have our logo here, and if you could tell right here, our roommate signed his name because he was on the podcast. I'm gonna forge your signatures. Just choose where.
Hey guys,
Um,
No pressure.
let's do it on the top right of the base. On the right.
Of the what?
well, that's where I was going. Good pick, Drew. That's
Oh,
a great
all right.
pick. That's a great pick.
Top right of the base. Not the one that's signed, the other base.
Like
You can just put an A and an M.
right here?
There you go. You're on for there. There you go.
Just put AM in cursive. Even though that's not my signature.
It is now.
I'm forgetting how to
It
do a
is not.
capital A in cursive. I'm so stupid. It's.
Oh my god.
Isn't it just like?
Well,
A
the angel logo.
and then
Yeah, basically. There's now a writing podcast. Today we'll be learning the letter A.
All right, that's more like an N, but I don't care. It's like really bad.
Can't even see it.
Whatever.
that's good enough.
A WT right next to.
I'm gonna give you, what's it called? Like an interlocking one.
Sure. Oh my god. There it is, ladies and gentlemen.
The Triboro
Yeah.
Podcast.
You found it.
So what are you guys gonna do for us? You got on our logo. You're there forever.
You're there forever.
You're there
yeah.
forever.
Come up with something, man.
All right,
Come up
we
with
have
something
one there.
big.
now Nick, I have nothing else.
You have nothing else? Well, first off, I just want to thank you guys for spending time with us
Guys.
today. I
Thanks
think
for
this
having
was
us.
Great. Yeah.
It's very.
great
Thank you for
discussion.
doing this
Mets,
very
Yanks.
late. Thank you.
Yeah. This may or may
Always-
not be recording at 12:30 in the morning, but
Yes.
that's okay. That's okay.
You know, I appreciate you guys.
There's
coming on.
never a bad time to record and talk about baseball.
Oh yeah.
Amen.
There's
Amen.
never a time that's not necessary.
Exactly.
Exactly. But
Glad we could have all come on and be in good spirits about our teams.
yeah, definitely. Definitely.
A week or two ago, definitely wouldn't have been a
Yeah, this
good
would have
vibe.
been a.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, definitely. The Mets decided a good time to win a series.
Same.
Let
The
me
Yankees
say.
decided to start hitting well recently too.
Ball in New York right now.
Exactly.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Let's
But-
keep the good times going, you know?
Yeah, and with that, thank you guys for listening and watching. Remember to follow us and Free Baseball. Don't forget. Thank you guys again for coming on. Follow us Twitter, Instagram, subscribe on YouTube, Follow us on Spotify. But without further ado, thanks. And
See you
we'll see you
guys.
in the next one.